Thank you for visiting my channel. In this video I will show you what I managed to color in July. As usual, in the middle of summer I love to participate in Christmas in July, color along or Christmas in July stitching projects. So let me show you one winter picture which I did in Crystal Vogel book about gnomes. I love this book because actually here we have like everyday life of a lovely family of gnomes, and not all pictures are connected to Christmas. They just have variety of everyday activities, and for my Christmas in July I actually selected page with only a little bit of snow, and we have this adorable bakery. I love to color baked goods, and especially when I can be a little bit crazy with colors. I think that gnome sweets, they may be a little bit more vibrant than real sweets we have in cafe. And I do love here the nice contrast between very intense rich blue color which I selected for outside world, comparing to the cream, earthy, beige, brown tones which I selected for the interior design. A lot of wood, so really good contrast. As usual, it feels a little bit overwhelming when you realize that you need to color all the outfits so they still look lovely and not very motley, especially when you also have like secondary characters, helpers like mouse or bird. But it was fun. I did it completely with Prismacolors. I love them on this paper, so I think that it was nice to return to this book after 6 months, and unfortunately now it will have to wait another 6 months. In books by Russell Hampson, I managed to do only one page in July, and this idea for the page I got from something, from some advertising, where I just realized how nice deep orange looks together with purple and violet. I decided to use this palette somewhere in my books, and I just started to look through pages, and I realized that I can use it for this one, which is called Burning Ring of Fire. I definitely think that it's a very nice, very intense color combo, violet, purple and orange. You know that I love to color metals, and here I selected steel as a main color, but I also decided to add variety of color accents, so I also added brown and orange. Yes, maybe it's slightly out of logic because it looks like rust, and rust we mostly have not during fire but during a wet in wet atmosphere, but I decided that maybe still it will work also for this page. I'm always happy to color such fantasy pictures where I don't need to do green leaves, where I can experiment a little bit. All those lovely details like this birds with a blush or this flower with a skull. Well, plenty of interesting details. That's why I love books by Russell Hampson. So I think that it's another nice addition to my book. Maybe it has very slow progress, but slow progress is still better than no progress at all. So maybe one day I will manage to finish it. At least I have such ideas in my head. Apart from Christmas in July color along, I also participated in my usual Color with Ukraine coloring, and July theme was fruits, because it was dedicated to the region of Luhansk and it was famous for its apricots. So my first choice was the book The Day We Finally Met. That's a rare gemstone of my collection, and I'm very happy that I finally started to color in it, because when I received it I decided that maybe because of the size I need to do watercolor background. This book didn't like watercolor at all, or maybe it just was my skills. I ruined 2 pictures I think, and I stopped to color. Then I returned to it for smaller pictures, but still didn't color in it very actively. And only this year where I finally realized that I just need different watercolors for the background. I managed to do one watercolor page with tulips, or I simply can work with my Prismacolors and they work quite well. I just need to be patient to color the big page with Prismacolors. Designs are lovely. I think that I just received it when my skills, they weren't equal to the beauty of these pictures, and finally I feel much more confident and I'm totally happy how I managed to color this page. I used polychromos for the sky simply because phthalo blue polychromos are one of my favorite pencils. It's such a lovely, cheerful, atmospheric blue. I love to use it for such vibrant skies. Maybe it looks a little bit exaggeratingly vibrant, but it creates this cheerful, lovely atmosphere. So that's polychromos, and the rest it's Prismacolors. Oh well, now I can say that I definitely taught myself, I mastered how to color those red and red-green apples. I love how they look. I would say that they have nice shadings, they look three-dimensional, and I'm glad that apart from completely red apples, I also tried to color those red and green. So the upper part of the page where we have plenty of apples, it looks not very boring because I used two color palettes. And of course those birds, they are so adorable. I definitely will be coloring more in this book. Now I don't understand why I hadn't touched it during previous years, because with practice you feel more confident, you start to learn paper better. So definitely it was a very happy moment when I colored this page and when I finished it. I finally remembered that I hadn't finished Leon's routine. Sorry, that's the page. I had to color this one. I colored it quickly, and what can I say? Two cats look okay, but the last one, it looks like it arrived from Stephen King Pet Cemetery. Sorry, but that's the only thing which I can see when I look at this poor thing. Believe me, I tried to improve him. I tried to delete a little bit. I think the problem is the tiniest size of the face, that I didn't manage to attract more attention to his eyes, and it looked a little bit messy. So I really apologize for this poor cat. The rest are quite lovely. But the next project which I started, I think that it turned out much better. Again, I did it because I wanted to practice fruits. I honestly hoped to do at least a couple of pictures, but then again, lack of time prevented me, so I have only the beginning of this page. But you know that I do love to color seasonal pictures, but I don't mind to color like lilac during summer or to color berries during winter, so it's also okay. I definitely will try to continue doing this one. Regarding this page, I think that everything looks okay. My problem is that I had to plan in advance. Maybe for just one page I wouldn't select such background color, but we have 4 pictures and I needed to select something relatively natural, so I can also use similar background maybe here. So 2 pictures will be with the same background, or 2 top pictures will have one color of the background and 2 bottom are different color. I didn't want to do 4 pictures in totally different color palettes. I already failed to do such thing on my other projects in this book, so now I try to be a little bit more careful. Here I actually managed to do such thing thanks to this repeated light purple pink polychromos pencil, which I used repeatedly here, it united pages and because of the blue. But on other here, I thought that maybe I had to select something slightly different for those backgrounds. So that's the reason why this page has this muted turquoise and pale sage background. Maybe it looks strange, but I hope that this color combo I will use for my next projects. I still struggle a little bit with a white cat, but I hope that one day I will master how to color in perfect way Leon and Lily. And then I realized that I have perfect fruit page in this book. It's French edition, but there is also English edition now. Lovely book if you love this style. Here we have adventures of the little girl who is dreaming and traveling through fairy tales, through some fantasy worlds. And so far I did only one page in this book. Also for color along, where I need to color wizards, astrologers, similar stuff. So I did one page and I was surprised that I didn't like how my polychromos worked here, that page. So I immediately knew that for my next page with fruits, I need to select Prismacolors as a main media. But this page, it has a lot of green leaves. I love to do them with different color palettes, and honestly I am so tired of green colors from Prismacolor because I use them constantly. I already use them in all possible color combos with addition of all possible orange, yellow colors for color accents that I wanted to experiment. Because polychromos were out of question, I will try them once again in this book. Just I remember that I wasn't pleased how they behaved on this paper, so this time I looked through my collection of art supplies and I remembered about Japanese pencils, Irojitens. They are very attractive. They have lovely barrels, this white color. They have unique color palette of plenty of pastel muted colors and also lovely dark colors, but in the same time they are very demanding to the paper quality and they are relatively hard. So far I almost never used them, only as a small addition to other pencils. I tried to use them in Russell Hampson book and they didn't want to give pigment. Well, but for this paper I was happy how they worked. I used them on the leaves mostly, and yes, definitely for me it was a good moment of relax where I finally can use other green colors. I also used one of Light Fast. I think that I have 3 Light Fast pencils. I deliberately tried to purchase more green colors from various brands because I love to color botanics, so I always in search of lovely natural greens. And finally I managed to use them here. I think that everything looks quite realistic, exactly what I wanted. So fruits, it's all work by Prismacolors, and I would say that I'm proud of my lemons, of my peach, of the pear. They look lovely. Grape also, but grape I practiced in Clara Markova. I think that after that I'm not afraid of coloring grape. Plums, well, maybe they are very vibrant, but well, it's a nice intense color accent in the bottom part of the page. I definitely need to practice more on cherries, but well, I would say that it's a page where I am happy at 99.9%. Those cherries, that's one tiny remaining part of the percent. Anyway, happy with this one, happy that I finally found a book where I can use Irojitens because I love their colors and it's nice to have paper which is thick, but at the same time hard and smooth. Interesting effect. So definitely, maybe not in August, maybe after several months, I will also select something here and I will try to use them more. In this book, I have pictures which I never wanted to color, like those random groups of objects, but there are also lovely bigger pictures which are very inspiring, and I think that next time I definitely need to test how watercolor behave on this paper. I don't expect much because, as I said, it's quite smooth, but it would be very helpful if I can do watercolor backgrounds. Well, anyway, this one I definitely consider as one of my best works of July, and it was also very instructive for myself. Now when I color any of these fruits, I can return to my own videos and look back at the color palette which I used. Very helpful actually, because I have plenty of fruits in Kolorowanka books, so to have such a reminder, it's very helpful. Next, one work in Teresa Goodridge books. I must confess that during previous months I wasn't very happy with my results in Teresa Goodridge books. I continued to color, but I had feeling that I stick somewhere at the moment where I can't improve the look of my pictures. I always ruined them with one element out of palette. So I wasn't very happy, and finally I did a page where I got back my joy from coloring in her books and where I am quite happy with the results. It could start from a catastrophe because I decided to use a little bit of gouache to mask lines. It didn't work quite well. Pencils didn't want to work on top of it. But I managed to mask such areas, and I think that here we have very lovely page. I'm happy with all of the elements, even flowers I managed to do not extremely vibrant and lovely front part of it. Of course, I'm not very confident in coloring horses, but I think that this one looks not bad. Thanks to Teresa, who mostly hide all the body of the horse behind the fence. It wasn't very complicated part. For me also it's always a big challenge how to color realistic water. I know the rules about highlights, about reflections, about colors, but every time when I start to do it with pencils, well, every time it's a huge challenge. Finally, I think that water here looks quite nice. Everything is where it has to be, a shadow beneath the bridge, reflection of the nearest areas of green. So I'm also happy how I did water. Lovely, and what is the most important, that I got back the pleasure of coloring. So I finally again feel very relaxed, very comfortable when I do her pictures. So I hope that I will continue with the same excitement and with the same pleasure. Definitely very lovely page. I also very happy with this one. In July, I reminded myself that I have plenty of rosa watercolors, and why wouldn't I use them more frequently? Sadly, I use them only for one page, but I hope that it's just a beginning. And for this page, I use this Coloriage wild book. I'm surprised myself how much I colored in this book during last months. I think that it's mostly thanks to the paper where I can experiment. Honestly, I can't say that I am a huge lover of those tiny girls almost without bodies. But thanks to the paper and thanks to the flowers, I actually have very good progress here. In July, I did this one. It probably out of style comparing to all other girls which I have here. It's something slightly more dramatic, but I achieved such effect again thanks to the granulating watercolors. I imagined maybe the native American girl high in the mountains looking at the beautiful evening or night sky. So when I did this dramatic sky, I decided to add also splashes of silver pearl, so it's also shiny, to maintain this effect. And the most interesting part was to do those mountains. I added them myself. It was empty background, so I added everything here, and I managed to achieve very interesting airs effect where this granulation, it really looked like mountains, and it was just from two watercolors. That was one watercolor, it granulating quite well from pink, brown, gray, very nice granulation on this paper, and then second one just to add deeper shadow between mountains. Quick work, fun work, and well, I was extremely happy how that cobalt brown, if I remember correctly, Rosa watercolor behaved here. I definitely need to use it more. And then I wanted something unusual, something new for her hair, so it's a mix of Derwent drawings. Their soft texture is not bad on this paper, but you also need something harder to blend, so I would recommend to use them on this textured paper using Derwent blender, Derwent burnisher, or maybe second brand like Polychromos, where with harder tip you can feel a better texture of paper. So I think that it's lovely. I can't say that I love her mask, but it was initially on the image, so I simply had to color it. And well, at least I had fun when I colored her. Definitely I have more ideas. I think that the next one I will do this girl, because actually I wanted to do this one. When I prepared my paints, when I prepared my brushes, I wanted to do this girl. But then accidentally I looked at the swatch of this cobalt brown, I remembered about that girl, and then everything like in a haze, and I started to do this one. But I am pleased because it's a challenging page without pretty flowers. I think that I managed to do something atmospheric out of it. And next we have books by Karron and Gerber Asanas. I would say that next picture, it's a real spirit of summer. It's called Sun-Kissed, and I love everything here. I managed to do a skin where I'm very proud of shading. I do love how I added shadows, how I blended everything. Yes, that's mostly because of the great paper, how it accepts pencils, and very nice gray shade provided by the artist. Of course, I questioned myself which colors I want to select for the background. My only possible media for the background, it was watercolors. I didn't want to work with pencils here, so I selected several shades through more cadmium yellow, then deeper golden yellow into something more orange and even pink. I think that it worked. I was a little bit afraid when I applied it. It was too vibrant. But on the last step I did wings, and fortunately I decided to use a lot of white on top of watercolor. White Prisma worked quite well. It gave this semi-transparent effect, so I love her wings, and it added quite fresh look to the whole girl. It supported color of flowers, so I'm proud of this work. I think that it's definitely one of my best. I'm so grateful to Karron that thanks to her designs I got this confidence in doing portraits. I'm not nervous, I can enjoy doing her girls. I just need to think about colors which I can select. The only reminder for myself that maybe I need to try and to do less intense backgrounds. It's always a huge risk that my intense backgrounds, they can kill the main image, especially if girl is made in light tender pastel colors. So I try to keep myself to be also tender with the backgrounds. I also used another book by Karron, and here again I did a very vibrant background. I decided that why I always color girls, ladies, why wouldn't we color a boy? So here is my little fairy boy. Honestly, the most attractive part for me was his outfit. Very lovely clothes, this vest, those trousers, they are absolutely adorable. Also boots. I think that it has very nice design, so of course I wanted to color him. Also here I'm glad that I selected this ginger or orange color for hair. It allowed me also to add similar color for the dots on his cheeks, on the nose. Definitely he is also sun-kissed, and that's what I wanted to show in the atmosphere of the background. That's again watercolors. Then I had to highlight it a little bit using Color crayons, so I would call this work as a mixed media. Initial idea of the wings was totally different. Wings probably here is my least favorite thing. They don't look transparent. I must confess that it was the last thing probably which I colored, and I simply wanted to finish it quicker. My fault. Now after couple of weeks after I finished it, I would say that yeah, you could work better, you can improve also this area, but apart from those wings, I think that he looks lovely. I wanted to add to this page something individual, something from myself, and I added those flowers. They weren't available on the original design. I simply wanted to use the vibrant blue color I used on his vest and especially on his eyes somewhere else, so I added flowers. I think that it was a nice addition. And here where he is simply touching one of the stones, I wanted to add some magic, so I tried to represent that magic by some sparkles in orange color. Sometimes it sounds stupid, but that's at least gave me some additional color accents to this page. So the main image is lovely, but the background also isn't very boring. Very nice. I'm quite proud how I did his face with all the shading. So I realized that maybe the next thing I need to try, maybe it's to color men's. There are several pictures in her books where we have men's portrait. I did one with elf, but that doesn't count. Now I need to select maybe one of the wizards or other pictures which she has in her books, and to practice another type of faces. And finally, the last book will be Dark Fairy Tales. Every time when I finish a page here, I promise myself, no more monsters in this book and no more spreads. Please select something lovely, maybe some lovely dresses. And guess what? Every time I select page with monsters, and it's a double spread. So I did those bears. It was very easy to select colors here. Once in a time I decided that a simple blue background, it's not boring, not very banal, and here it will work quite well both with the dark colors of fur and orange colors of fire. So we have burning house in this part, and then a lovely background to complement all those wooden colors, orange colors. Near the Goldilocks, I decided to create this light halo to attract more attention to the girl. I was afraid that she would be lost because of the size. Now I think that she looks lovely, and She's definitely a focal point. And then, of course, a lot of work. It's mostly Prismacolors background. It's a mix of polychromos Prismacolors. Um, when I did the main image, I realized that at least for the secondary elements, I need to select the same color for everything, or at least less an amount of colors. So I have pink flowers, pink tableware, and in such way they don't distract attention from the faces of those fierce bears. And guess what? After I finished this one, I felt tired. I said I need something much more simple, something different. And the next day I selected page which is very similar. I don't know what I was thinking when I selected it. So now I have also page with burning beast, and this time it's 3 little pigs. I actually love the idea behind this page that a wolf destroyed houses of poor pigs, and they were in such a rage that they turned into fire-breathing pigs. So I can understand them, honestly. So as a revenge for their destroyed houses, now they try to burn the wolf. Here everything went quite easy. Well, it was long because I had to color all these details, all this background. It's all pencils and Prismacolors. I think everything here is Prismacolors. My biggest challenge started when I started to color a wolf. Initial image was not very pleasant. It was like he's already half burned, and I decided even to increase this disgusting impression to show that there are already ribs visible through the burning skin. Well, it was something between pleasant and disgusting. It's difficult to explain, but I love dark pictures. They help me to maybe to release my inner demons into coloring, so it's very therapeutic. And I think that also I got a nice result. Those pink pigs, they looks quite nice because of the dark background which I selected, and dark wolf. He is definitely not very pleasant, but when I look at this page, I mostly try to look at the bottom part, at this remaining lovely building. So I'm proud how I managed to do such 2 big spreads with just pencils. And you know what? I am ready to the new challenges, so I can't promise that my next work here won't be a spread. Because I mostly love to finish all pictures from the story, and even they are not connected. Kirby also dedicate 2 pages to one story usually, so I have to color in spreads. I'm very happy with my July work. Of course, in my mind, I also planned to do a page from a lion vault, but well, maybe it will be a task for August. It was all for my July. Thank you for watching, and I hope that very soon we will meet for the next color along.